Hey, it's Jody Taylor of SnackySays.com. Welcome back to my podcast. So, I recently hit a pretty big milestone. It's just been exactly 1 year and a few days now since I lost 30 pounds. Spoiler alert, it's not exactly a 30-pound weight loss anymore. I have 4.4 pounds to go to be able to say, like, yes, I've maintained a 30-pound weight loss. It's been a process and a journey this past year. I'm going to give you some stats and details for context because I'm not sure that I've done this. And I know for sure I haven't done this consistently when I talk about my weight loss. So first, let me give you my height. I'm 5'10", 5'10" inches, and I guess that's 178 centimeters. According to the interwebs, for my height, my weight range is between 135 pounds and 175 pounds, something like that. So it's pretty broad. It's like a 40-pound range. So when I started on this journey, well over a year ago, decided that I was going to lose 30 pounds, I weighed in at 176.8, which is heavier than, my range. And you might be thinking, that's just like a pound. It really felt like a lot more than that. And even though that was the weight that I started my weight loss journey on this time around, because it ain't my first rodeo, that year I had weighed in at 179 probably a couple of times. I don't have it in front of me, but I do have the data. So I was just really uncomfortable. Also, I gained the weight for a few reasons. None of it having to do with good eating and good living. So I had fibroids. So I had a medical issue that was just driving my body. It was an issue. It was an issue. I was having all of these physical symptoms and mental and emotional symptoms because I was pretty stressed out, and I had to find the right physician for me and the right treatment for me. And this was during a pandemic, and just a very tough year. Probably, yeah, I think it's safe to say the worst year of my life. It was tough. It was a rough time, and during this period, I was working out, but working out is just part of what, for me, makes me like my fittest, my healthiest, my strongest. It's just a part of the puzzle. And I guess that's true for everyone. So that's a bit of context. I want to give you some other numbers that I may or may not have mentioned before, which are my BMI and my body fat. So my body fat was always fine. It was within a healthy range. And I'm not going to go into the details of like what is BMI and body fat because, again, I'm not an expert, but I will provide you with the resources. I'll just tell you off top. On YouTube, Jeff Nippard, Keisha Collins, Dr. Sten Ekberg, and Kaboko Fitness have a lot of great what I call how-to videos. Like if you want to hear about the science behind something, or you want to hear from a certified personal trainer, those four folks, I tend to watch and rewatch their videos. Extremely informative, in my opinion. So again, my height is 5'10". My weight on November 2nd, 2021 was 176.8 pounds. My BMI, body mass index, was 25.6, which was high. It was definitely going into it was like unhealthy for me. My body fat was 20.8%, which was fine. 6 months later, I officially lost 30 pounds. I was actually 1 week shy of 6 months, and I weighed 146.6. My BMI was 21.2, and my body fat was 16.7. Today, April 2023, I weigh 151. My BMI is 21.9, and my body fat is 17.3. So those are some numbers that might help give you some context. I'll also tell you about my weight over the last year. So between April and December 2022, my average weight was 148, 149, 150, exactly like that. My average weight climbed from April to December. It got the highest by the end of December at 153.4. Not the average weight, but literally the last time I weighed myself in December, which was December 27th, I weighed, was that right? It might have been the 28th. I weighed 153.4. And my average weight that month, it was probably still 150 because it was really at the end of the month. And then January, February, March, oh my gosh, like I totally overate in December. And then I got COVID right at the new year. I tested positive on New Year's Eve. And I was just eating. And then I got, sick. And so I wasn't moving. And it was just a combination of things. I ended up gaining 13 pounds total. By February, I think it was February. I have it here. I think it was February 21st. Let me check. I ended up going up to 160 pounds. And again on March 7th. Is that right? Yep, February 21st. And then again on March 7th, I went up to 160 pounds. And today is April 14th. And I'm now 151. The interesting thing is I hit a plateau, which I've hit plateaus before, but never like this. 4 weeks straight. I weighed in exactly the same, like 153.6, 153.8, 153.6 is weird. But anyway, I finally broke that plateau and I hit 151 just in time for my anniversary, 1 year anniversary. So there's a lot of context for you. I hope it helps. Sometimes when I listen to other folks' stories on weight loss or weight maintenance, I find myself wishing like, oh, but how tall are they? Like, I wish I knew that. And I just wish I had a little bit more information. So if there's something that I haven't mentioned, some information that you're curious about, just let me know. I'm happy to do another podcast episode. All right, so that's it for the context. What I wanted to talk about for the rest of this episode was how I stick to, for lack of a better term, healthy lifestyle, because maybe for you it's another term. Healthy for me, a fit lifestyle for me. So there are a few things that, sorry, I'm flipping through my fitness journal because I have notes this time. There are 3 things I think contribute to why a year into it, and frankly the last few years, why I continue to be so curious and so into health and fitness. So again, because I always say it's not in order of importance. It's not in order of importance, but number 1, this has been a long time coming. So I tend to talk about the last 5+ years of me working out consistently. It ain't my first rodeo. I've worked out in the past, like for months at a time, maybe even 8-9 months, basically every season except winter. And then I had times where I didn't work out at all. I definitely experimented with eating differently for me, eating less. Like I had read a bunch of books, but it never really stuck. And I wasn't that interested in the nutrition side. I just wasn't. But all this is to say, it was a series of micro starts that I sometimes wasn't even aware of. I made it super easy for myself. So for example, salad dressing is something that I cut out probably over 10 years ago. I don't tend to buy it. I don't tend to put it on my salads, even if I go out and I have a salad. But that's not like a hard and fast rule because I so very rarely eat salad dressing. It was just an easy thing for me to cut. At the time, if you asked me to stop eating, for some reason I want to say fried bologna sandwiches, which are delicious. But if you had asked me to stop eating bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll, it was impossible. I just could not. I wasn't in a place where I was like, I'm not going to eat bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll for breakfast 3 times a week. I just couldn't do it. Not I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do anything like that. But what I could do was eliminate salad dressing. So for years and years and years, I've been like just picking that low-hanging fruit and eliminating, cutting down, because it wasn't a sacrifice. Like, if you've ever eaten like an okay bag of potato chips, it's like, okay, you didn't really need to eat it. It was all right? But if it's your favorite brand of chips, maybe you don't want to give that up, and that's okay. So, yeah, that's the first thing, again, not in order of importance, that has enabled me to stick to this healthy lifestyle, because it really has been a long time coming, and I didn't do anything before I was ready, which brings me to sustainability. So I did have times where I was like, I'm not going to eat this, I'm not going to do that. I love snacks. Like, there's so many snacks that I just loved, and I just didn't want to restrict. It just wasn't sustainable at the time. But when I was ready and I had a more open mindset, it was sustainable. Another example of something being sustainable and how I'm able to stick to, for me, a healthy lifestyle is I realized that I needed to do a workout that I could do year round. And for me, what that looks like is working out at home as opposed to having to go to a gym. And at the time that I made this decision, my town had really great gyms and they had really great classes, really interesting, fun classes. The issue was they didn't open early enough for me to go before I went to work. And all the fun classes seemed to be like 10 o'clock in the morning, again, when I was at work. So it just made sense. Like, you know what I could do year round? I could work out at home. It doesn't matter what the weather is like, because I've tried running, I've tried walking, I've tried, like taking a Zumba class, and I was never able to stick to it because I couldn't do it year round. So for you, that might look like, well, I don't want to be at home working out, but what I will do in the summer is I'll take tennis lessons. And then in the fall, I'll do like Pilates classes. And in the winter, I'll take snowshoeing classes. And then in the spring, I'll go hiking, right? It's really about thinking ahead and having a vision and planning ahead and thinking about what is sustainable, what you want to do and what you can do, because we don't want no hostages. Like, sure, you could sign up for year-round golf lessons, let's say you live in a warm climate, but maybe you're not really into golf. So make it something that's not that difficult and sustainable. And then last but not least, and again, not in order of importance, actually, I think this is the first thing I did a few years ago. I adopted a philosophy, a kind of guiding principle and policy. And it came out of the epiphany I had when I was talking to my cousin that this was a lifetime journey, and why I had run into issues before, why things weren't sustainable, was because I was making it too hard for myself. And I wasn't doing something that I could do year round, that I could do with like no decision fatigue. Like even how I eat now, it's kind of boring. I have overnight oats. I kind of eat the same things all the time, but it's predictable and I can plan it a day in advance. So planning doesn't have to be like this big vision of what am I going to eat for the next month. I just think about what am I going to eat tomorrow? What's my workout going to be tomorrow? I take just a few minutes, less than 10 minutes to do probably both of those things every day, and I'm set for the next day. When I don't do that, things get off track horribly. Maybe it's just me, but I find that it is better to have a plan and change it than have no plan and spend 10 minutes on my mat, turns into 15 minutes trying to figure out what workout I'm going to do today. And for some reason, when I sit down to figure out what the next day is going to be like, I'm telling you, it takes no time at all. Same thing with eating. When I'm spinning, trying to decide, what am I going to eat? I am now hungry. So I'm just like, I'm doing this motion, I'm just like knocking everything out of the fridge and like, gobble, 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 gobble. I'm being totally dramatic here. But the point is, if I have a guiding principle, philosophy of how I'm doing things, it makes everything easier. So thinking that this is a lifetime journey, I'm able to be more gentle with myself. I certainly get frustrated. And I get annoyed with myself and with eating and with working out and with movement. I have struggle days. I've spoken, I think, at length about some of these things, and I'll put links in the show notes. But because I have that guiding principle, it allows me to stay on track. This is a lifetime. So maybe I didn't hit the goal I wanted to hit. That's okay. I will start over. I'll be the phoenix. No problem. Because it's not like, for example, a year rolled around and I didn't have that 30-pound weight loss. That's fine. My goal is to maintain this weight loss for 5 years, and I've never done it before. So I have to give myself some space to figure things out and see what works for me and change it at some point, because it may not always work for me. I just have to be more flexible. But I have that vision in mind, that policy, like this is a lifetime. And so it gives me some wiggle room. So other forms of policies that I have might be like a food policy. And I got that idea from Michael Pollan. I'll put some links in the show notes of his books. He also has a masterclass that really goes into detail if you don't want to read the book. The book is a quick read, but he talks about the idea of a food policy. And that could be something like, oh, if it has more, I'm just making this up, if it has more than 10 ingredients, I'm not going to get it. If it uses cottonseed oil, I'm not going to get it. I only want to eat extra virgin olive oil. I'm making these things up. I mean, it's totally up to you what you want to eat. Your food policy might be, maybe a better example is, I love snacks and treats and sweets. I'm not going to bring them in my house, but when I'm on vacation, all bets are off. I'm going to eat whatever I want, right? Like, you know yourself. You know what's healthy for you. You know what's like, it really depends on where you are in your journey, and your mindset, and things change, right? So I had a policy a couple of months ago that I may have spoken about where I was only doing one ingredient snacks, apples, peanuts, raisins, just one ingredient. And that worked until it didn't. And I was like, I just want some cookies. So restriction didn't work for me. And it's not really restriction because there was nothing wrong with those snacks, but I just wanted cookies. So right now, like the last couple of weeks, I've been having 2 cookies every day. Is it Partake cookies? No, Simple Mills. I like Partake cookies, but I also like Simple Mills. These are Simple Mills cookies. They're double chocolate chip cookies. I think it's chocolate or choco. Are the most okay cookies you will ever eat in your life. You are not in danger. I'll speak for myself. I'm not in danger of eating the whole box. If I have 2 or 3, that's fine. The other ones, though, not the ones that aren't double chocolate, are actually pretty good. They're better than okay. But anyway, now with my overnight oats, I have 2 cookies, and because I like the different texture, like it's like soft, and then you have these crunchy cookies, and that's much better for me than where I was before. Like, no, I'm not going to have any snacks at all. And then I always end up like, come on, my name is Snacky Snack. Come on. I got to have cookies. I got to have snacks. What was I even thinking? But that's part of the process. I tried it. It didn't work. And I may go through another phase where I only want one ingredient snacks. And that's a totally different thing. Like, oh, I feel like eating this. And I think the mistake I made was I'm only going to eat this. I'm going to be like super strict about this, which of course didn't work out. Okay, so I talked a bit about my stats and numbers. I talked about how I stick to a healthy lifestyle, like 3 things that have helped me over the years. I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions or something you want me to elaborate on, please either comment in this post or on Substack. I see all of the messages and notes, or you can just email me again via Substack, and I will write you back. Thank you so much for listening. If you would like to support this podcast and my content creation, please share this episode or share any episode that you've enjoyed of mine or any post on Substack. And my Substack is Jodie, Joddie, .substack.com. Again, if you have any questions or things that you want me to elaborate on, let me know, and I'm happy to do a podcast episode around that. Thank you. Thanks for listening. This is Jodie Taylor at SnackySays.com.